Medium light skin tone. One bad hit and your car will be done. Kaiser. Launch control as well.
Everyone tonight. Everyone tonight. I got this shit that you want, that you need. Shit to get them HYPE. Was high from a man, like a bullet from a gun. Feel more than one with the 9mm tongue. Hot shit that I spit, make me squish my lips. When you see flames come, everybody better run, get extinguished. Just call the fire brigade. It's bitch, you can call me grenade. Or TNT, or just Miss Dynamite. Call me what you like. Pepper what tonight. That's why that bitch. Always fussing, this chick ain't called Dynamite. But nah, that pussy's dusting now. Please don't make me release. Too many disease already in this music. Shit music, make me lose it. There's on the sleep, suggest you choose it. Cause my fuse is lit. Who's more than your lip? Brain, all abuse it. Cause you never used it. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. I got this shit that you want, that you need. Shit to get them HYPE.
I am about tune. Now make you hear some bumper class tune tonight, you see. Run out of this blood class. Yes, you see man coming from Forza in the bumper class tune. Call up my name, pussy.
Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. I got this shit that you want, that you need. Shit to get them HYPE. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. Use it lip, who's more than your lip. Brain, all abuse it, cause you never used it. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. I got this shit that you want, that you need. Shit to get them HYPE. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. Pepper what tonight. Use it lip, who's more than your lip. Brain, all abuse it, cause you never used it.
ready for what happens next? My friend, one thing I have learned chasing the horizon. Sometimes, you just have to let go and enjoy the ride.
Shake up the dice, go down, yeah. Let it all be on the front. Shake up the dice, go down, yeah. Shake up the dice, go down, yeah. Shake up the dice, go down, yeah. Mario, so that's how this thing goes. Everybody come get with the real.
¡Bienvenidos a México!
Shake up the dice, go down, yeah. 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 Let it all be on the front. Mario, so that's how you do it. Mario, so that's how you do it.
Follow that car!
Mario, so that's how you do it. Mario, so that's how you do it. Everybody come get with the real. Everybody come get with the real.
Kind of left me hanging here, you know. Scotty had his intro all timed out, but it's cool. It's cool.
TF. FFS.
Hey, what is it? They're catering back there? Come on, finish your torta.
Wow.
Please give it up for...
Sort of put me off. She didn't think that.
Hey, my friend, when you dropped from that plane, what were you thinking?
I was doing all I could to not think about it.
Jamie told me to expect big things from you, but nothing so...
Espectacular?
Yes, Haley!
Got some
I
shit
have so much to show
Microsoft
you.
name.
Cerros, desiertos, la jungla, pirámides, la belleza de México. Your pronunciation was muy bien, by the way.
Getting better. Listen, if you plan on stopping by the festival at any point, you'll need one of these.
No promises, jefa.
I believe this is yours. How was your flight?
Not bad. Exit procedure was a bit rough.
Yeah, I bet. Come on. Rami will handle expeditions. I will coordinate festival logistics, which just leaves...
Primita, ven!
Some English
What do you call
chick in
primita,
Mexico.
primito? I saw what you did in the UK. Vamos a hacer de banda.
Alejandra, right? If the rumours about what you can do with an engine are true, I'm sure we will.
Oh, speaking of, did we get that delivery?
Arrived this morning.
Yes.
Mira, qué chulada. This is quite a collection. You've got taste. I'll get them over to the garage.
About to get
But which one are you
kidnapped
taking out
by
first?
the cartel. Horror.
Ah, the A90 Supra. The latest successor to one of the most iconic cars out there. Good choice, especially if you like drifting.
It's gotta be the Supra.
Great. How about a personalized number plate?
Deliciously distracting, you try resisting sweet and savory when they're ready at the same time. Philips air fryer, cooked to perfection every time.
In life, it's best to check before you commit. With Quick Check, you can check if you're eligible for a Capital One credit card without affecting your credit score before you apply.
Not everyone. No, fine. Didn't want one anyway.
Credit with no nasty surprises. That's one good thing. Capital One.
My mind's all over you, your hands all over me. I'll give you whatever, I'm all yours faithfully. My mind's all over you, you won't get over me. Tonight, moonlight, all night. I'm just here thinking that there's something about you, I'm just here thinking that there's something about you, I'm just here thinking that there's something about you. I'm just believing that there's something about me too. I'm just here thinking that there's something about you, you. I'm just here thinking that there's something about you. I'm just believing that there's something about me too. I'm just here thinking that there's something about you, you. I'm just here thinking, I'm just believing, I'm just here thinking about you, you.
They've just arrived, but our first showcase is ready to roll. We just need our superstar.
I'm just here, there's something about you,
Hope you're ready for this.
What is up, everybody? Scott Tyler here on the one and only Base Arena. The Horizon Festival has landed, and oh my, do we have big plans. The first superstar is here, and he is making his way to our brand new showcase event. Ready for another one for Amigo? You what's that? Yes. Horizon, big news. I gotta go. Right now.
You won't get over me tonight. I'm just here thinking there's something about you. I'm just feeling there's something about me too. I'm just here thinking there's something about you, about you, about you, you. I'm just here thinking there's something about you. I'm just feeling there's something about me too. I'm just here thinking there's something about you, about you, about you, you. I'm just here thinking, I'm just feeling, I'm just here thinking about you, you.
I'm not completely sure what your next showcase opponent is planning. They said they had a few surprises in the holdback cargo plane.
final straight, and this kid is not stopping.
I thought diabetics couldn't eat donuts.
Not making much progress, are we?
Check your sugars yet?
This post is giving me diabetes.
I thought diabetics couldn't eat donuts.
Do you even exercise daily? Yeah, instead of around
Not making much progress, are we?
Check your sugars, darling. You should really watch what you eat.
One also sit around and
That's how you lose a point. Right.
You did it to yourself.
Under pressure. Pressure.
This is Wick Studio, built to meet.
Pantene Repair and Protect Conditioner.
It's not greasy, it's so lightweight. It's absolutely brilliant.
Nice bread.
You call, I'm picking up. So high, high on your love, baby. Can't miss, I'm in enough. This good, good feeling you give me. Forever dancing to it. Dancing to it. You call, I'm picking up. So high, high on your love, baby. Can't miss, I'm in enough. This good, good feeling you give me. Forever dancing to it. Dancing to it, 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 you call, I'm picking up.
She's asked for a driver
So high, high on your love, baby.
and Alejandra's requested a driver
Can't
to help her
miss,
search
I'm
for a
in
long-lost
enough.
vulture.
This good, good feeling you
Before the next big
give
event,
me.
we should be contact first.
Forever dancing to it, dancing to it, dancing to it, dancing to it. You call, I'm picking up. So high, high on your love, baby. Can't miss, I'm in enough. This good, good feeling you give me. Forever dancing to it.
Hola, amigo. Bailey says she found me a driver. One who's not afraid to dive right in. Ever chased after a Mexican dust storm before?
Use Dettol washing machine cleaner for my hard-to-reach places. Ah, that's better.
Chemistry,
arrived at your destination.
Wanna know, yeah. If you wanna dance, so baby, come to. I don't wanna dance fun without you. If you wanna dance, so baby, come to. I wanna know. If you wanna dance, so baby, come to. I don't wanna dance fun without you. If you wanna dance, so baby, come to. I wanna know, yeah. If you wanna dance, so baby, come to. I don't wanna dance fun without you. If you wanna dance, so baby, come to. I wanna know.
Head and shoulders. I didn't know you had dandruff. I don't.
Make wicked savings with member perks like free delivery on your fave restaurants with Deliveroo Plus. Now, just got even better.
Stay comfortable. Stay out there with Ultra.
Great ideas can come from anywhere. With Wix, you decide where they go. Put your ideas into play with AI and watch them shape every aspect of your website. Explore as many layouts and designs as you want. Then zoom in and dictate the mood and vibe. And when it all comes together, launch your idea into the world where it belongs. It's your business, your website. You do it yourself on Wix.
Let me know if you need anything, yes?
It is absolutely crazy. We're going to go through this, and we do have a bunch more. There's some rumors about Pete Hegseth losing another individual from the DOD, but I got to be honest, I don't know how much I actually believe. We'll get into that. And then, you know, some people may not want us to talk about it, but I do. So Larry David wrote this op-ed insulting Bill Maher for meeting with Donald Trump, likening it to him meeting with Hitler. And yeah, Larry David apparently has Trump derangement syndrome, but I do think there's some interesting commentary here now that Bill Maher is losing his mind over this. We'll get into that. Before we do, my friends, make sure you check out Kalshi.com. That is KALSHI.com. Happy to have them as a sponsor for tonight's show. You will get $10 credit when you trade $100 on Kalshi at Kalshi.com/10. We like to use Kalshi. It's a prediction market. You can go and basically buy event predictions. So in this instance, we got this one pulled up because this is big news of the Canadian election. You can see that the Liberal Party has an 85% chance to win versus Pierre Poilievre with the Conservative Party at 15%. He's been dropping dramatically, and a lot of people are bummed on that. But this is something we call the wisdom of the crowds. That is, when enough people come together and then make a prediction, you actually see a tendency towards it being correct. Not always, but maybe it could be 60%, 70%. In this instance, Kalshi's been pretty spot on in these prediction markets. You may have noticed during the election when we were using Kalshi to track the predictions because, well, first of all, I'd say people who know stuff put their money where their mouth is. So if someone's got an inside baseball on this, they're going to be betting on it, trying to win money. But simply, most people have a general idea of where things are going based on how they're going to vote, how others are going to vote. So you can check out Kalshi.com. They got a bunch of other stuff. And of course, when they're showing the Liberal Party to win, actually that's where the news is trending. They say it's Carney's to lose in the Canadian election. So we will see. But shout out to Kalshi. Once again, Kalshi.com/10. Thanks for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to also head over to castbrew.com and pick up some delicious Cast Brew coffee. Sold out of Rise with Roberto Jr., but Appalachian Nights, Stand Your Grounds, still available. And check this out. Interestingly, our whole bean Colombian has been popping up. People have been buying a lot more of that just single origin. But if you check out our ground coffee, we've got a bunch of different options. We got Focus with Mr. Bocus. We've got Luck of the Seamus. But if you like decaf, we've got Sleepy Joe, which the joke doesn't really work anymore because Trump won, but I'm sure he's still sleepy. And, of course, Unwoke. Don't forget to also smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. You can follow me on X and Instagram at TimCast. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is George Papadopoulos.
Thanks for having me.
Who are you? What do you do?
Oh, it's a former Trump and Ben Carson advisor, got caught up in that entire crazy Russia hoax that, you know, we're still dealing with as a country and the world today. Have a show out on YouTube now, Global View. Worked on a lot of political documentaries over the last 6 years in LA, including All the President's Men on TCN, Tucker Carlson Network. So very proud of that. And just, surviving and doing my best to help this country turn around.
Right on. Well, should be fun. Thanks for hanging out. Mary's hanging out.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Morgan. You can usually find me on Pop Culture Crisis here at TimCast. Happy to be here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
Here's the news from KTSM. Check this out. New Mexico judge's wife in ICE custody following alleged Tren de Aragua member investigation. So we've got a bunch of different stories on this already. And this story's been evolving. Look at this one from KFOX 14. Home of ex-judge raided after claims of hosting Tren de Aragua gang member in Las Cruces. So this is a guy, my understanding, he was a judge and he resigned after they found he was harboring a Tren de Aragua dude. And then we've got this from Wid Lindman that originally reported that he was arrested, detained/arrested. And you can see in this video, check this out. You can see that they got his wife. ICE is arresting his wife. I don't know why. Maybe she's an illegal immigrant or something. And then you can see the judge himself is in cuffs. I think that's what led to most people believing that he was getting arrested. But apparently he has been released. That's the latest update. And they do have his wife in custody. So we don't know much more beyond this, but I will say, actually, I should add to this. Judge Joel Cano is banned from the New Mexico Supreme Court after the alleged Tren de Aragua gang member was arrested in his home. So they're saying alleged. We can see this photo that's gone viral, claiming to be him with this TDA gang member. Yeah, I'm going to say it. If you're wondering why Democrats are so hell-bent on defending MS-13, Tren de Aragua illegal immigrants, I think in some instances, they may be family. I think in some instances, they may be in on the take. And I don't think like Senator Van Hollen is getting paid off or whatever. But I think at the granular level, the reason why we're seeing a New Mexico judge who they've reported is a Democratic judge. He's being detained and his wife being arrested, and they're harboring this guy in their home. That's the allegation. I think along the border especially, and in sanctuary states, what you're going to find is something Trump has been referring to them as homegrown terrorists. These are MS-13 comes into this country. They have kids. Those kids grow up, and they're friends and family members with other people. These older people may then, through either a path of citizenship or otherwise, get positions of power in local government. And when we're dealing with a 20 or 30-year problem, I don't think anyone should be surprised to find that there are TDA, MS-13, and other narco gang affiliated individuals working in the judiciary or in police, or even like there were reports a few years ago, MS-13 was actually in our armed forces because they intentionally enlist to get in and build that influence. So this is kind of freaky. I don't know what you guys think. You think Democrats are in on the take?
I'm not so. I don't have a sense whether they're in on the take, but it does make sense that people in gangs would do what they can to make contacts with people in the judiciary, people in law enforcement.
I just wanted to add that maybe it's more of like an in-law situation, because it sounds to me, based on this detail, that this guy might have been dating the judge's daughter.
Really?
Oh.
I don't know. I'm reading into it too much, but it says, according to a press release from the Justice Department, investigators found social media posts depicting Ortega Lopez posing with multiple guns, some of which were allegedly supplied by April Cano, is that how you say it? The judge's daughter, who allowed him to hold and sometimes shoot various firearms, the agency said, which I would guess belonged to her. And I just don't know why that would ever happen unless they were friends or boyfriend and girlfriend.
Now imagine this.
And living in the guest house
Yeah.
as well, together.
You're a judge, and you know what, like, I don't know, is he like a district judge or like a local judge or something? And your daughter's got a guy who's coming around, and you find out he's TDA or MS-13 or something. You're going to go out and do everything in your power to be like, no, Trump is bad. Don't investigate this for any reason. Please stop, because you're like, uh-oh.
Some biases, obviously.
That's the family connection I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little lighter, like his daughter met a TDA guy and she brought him over and he was like, I'm totally okay with this. You know?
Or he could at least claim ignorance after the fact, or maybe they'd be like, I didn't even know he was like living in the guest house.
Why is
saw that our electricity bill was going up or something.
Why is the wife getting arrested?
That is weird. So if they were engaging in criminal activity as accomplices to the gang member, they would be just arrested by
regular police.
Yeah,
if
local police.
If she was picked up by ICE, it would lead you to believe that there is something to do with immigration. You know.
Yo, they're saying it's being reported that this is a tenant of theirs, and they said that the wife of a former judge was taken. And I want to stress the former is like what, a week ago, was taken into custody after federal law enforcement learned their tenant, who was an alleged Tren de Aragua member, was arrested at the judge's home. They say on April 24th, ICE executed a search warrant and probable cause arrest at a residence and the address. Homeland Security Investigation Special Agents, working with federal law enforcement partners, took Nancy Cano into custody as part of an ongoing HSI-led criminal investigation.
So did that say that the parents knew that he was allegedly?
No.
If that's the case, if that's the case, if he got arrested or whatever, they should have gone. If they were not, complicit or whatever, they would have gone directly to the law enforcement.
It goes on to say, as we previously reported, former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano rented out his casita to Christian Ortega Lopez at the behest of his wife last year. They met Ortega Lopez when his wife hired him to do housework, according to a criminal complaint. According to court documents obtained by KTSM, the Supreme Court and 3rd Judicial District Court received his resignation letter March 31st. So this is like a month ago. They say it's unknown if Kano and his wife knew of the gang affiliation. I doubt that.
Well, his daughter sure did.
I mean, if they were shooting guns and doing a bunch of stuff, it's not. Well, I want to say it's a guarantee because people are allowed to shoot guns, but that kind of.
Okay, but he's not. He's
right.
not allowed to possess or use them.
I mean,
he's not
I'm
allowed
sure,
to be here.
I'm sure he has a
Yeah.
criminal record too.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that difficult to do a simple background check, considering the guy's a judge
Yeah.
and the guy's living and the criminal's living with them.
Do you think they were like under duress, possibly having
Unlikely.
to shelter this guy under threat?
I will tell you this. I do have some sympathy if you are like a local judge and TDA comes to you and says, we're going to hurt your children and your families, you do what we're told. I do sympathize.
You can help her later.
But then if you decide to help them, you go to prison for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you know, we watch movies and the kidnapper, he's like, if you go to the police, I'll kill your daughter. And I'm like, you should call the police. Like, what do you think you're going to do by yourself? I don't know what to tell you. That's, this judge has zero excuse. Zero.
Absolutely.
Former judge, I guess?
Well,
This Democrat.
I like the way that sounds. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how he hasn't made everything worse for himself, right? Like he definitely, if you're a judge, you definitely have the ability to do a background check, like we were talking about. I'm sure that he has plenty of friends in law enforcement. His wife got picked up for a reason. I don't know for sure that she's here illegally, but I imagine if ICE is picking her up, maybe they're gonna.
She was aiding and abetting.
But even still, that wouldn't be immigration. It would still be regular law enforcement. The only thing that ICE is for immigration.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe unless they're picking her up for the other cops.
I think people need to consider something when we're seeing this story. That if you're wondering how sanctuary cities operate, it's not like Gavin Newsom sits there and picks up his gavel and then bangs it and says, no more arresting illegal immigrants. It's that when you let in, I think at this point, the estimates are upwards of 40 million illegal immigrants. Because I'm not talking about the passports, I'm talking about of all time. They are going to have family and friends in positions of power, and that is root corruption. And then you're going to have a cop or a judge, and they're going to have friends and they're going to have family members. And so when they come across the illegal immigrant, and they're like, hey, I'm from this place, don't arrest me, the guy goes, you got it, buddy, stay safe out there. This is the destruction of American community. We talked about this with Reagan's amnesty back in, I think it was like the 80s or whatever. You had a bunch of people who came to this country illegally. Reagan gave them amnesty. And then when they had children, those kids were presented with a proposition to strip public funds from illegal immigrants. They wouldn't be able to receive public benefits. This was the last time, I forgot what year it was, but this is the last time that California voted Republican. Because all of these children of illegal immigrants said, okay, then we vote Democrat because we want public funding for illegal immigrants. And then California's been blue ever since.
It's kind of the same thing with the Dreamers, too. I think that's why that's such a hot topic and why it's such a sensitive topic and why the Democrats are so invested in that vis-a-vis the Republicans.
It's their investment.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine just actually sent me a message and said that sometimes there are customs violations that ICE will pick people up for. Now, I'm not sure what kind of violation she might have had. He's a former law enforcement as well. But yeah,
I kind of think they arrested her because she was harboring a illegal immigrant at the minimum and a Tren de Aragua member at the worst.
Yeah, but I
actually not at the worst. The worst could be that she's in TDA as well, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing that I'm
like, if that were the case, then the police would arrest her. So it's quite strange. I just want to kind of vent about something. Earlier today, I saw
Complain about your Taco Bell.
a tweet from the White House account on X, and it was about Abrego Garcia, actually, not this situation. And it was this like AI generated 4-panel cartoon, and the caption was like, cross illegally and join a gang, get deported, and end of story. And I just don't understand why it needs to get to that point where someone is committing monstrous crimes other than illegally crossing for us to justify deporting them. Why does it need to be you're literally MS-13 for us to feel okay about deporting you?
Just send them all home.
Why is the bar so low? I feel like our expectations are being set so low for what they're capable of doing. And we were promised and we mandated mass deportations, not deportations of just gang criminals.
Well, you know, if you look at when I watch Fox and Friends in the morning, you know, I wake up, I'm making waffles for the wife and the baby, and then I put on Fox and Friends. There's these commercials with Christy Nome where she's like, leave now or else. And, you know, the real thing is they say is you can leave now and then reapply to come back legally, and you can. But if you get caught here, and then you're banned for life.
Yeah, I feel like that's also pretty low bar. Like, leave and then come back. I don't want them to come back.
You know, I kind of don't think they
our
will.
laws.
You know, like my attitude is, you know, the Trump administration is like, if you leave now, we promise you'll come back. And then as soon as you walk out, they just close the door and lock it.
Is that the plan?
I mean,
Do I need to
should be.
trust it? Is that the plan that I
Well, you wouldn't trust it anyway.
I wouldn't trust
Look.
it, but...
Like, to be honest, you know, you look at David Hogg and the DNC, and he said, we're going to put $20 million into primarying old incumbents who need to get out of the way. You should retire now before we come after you. And what happened? Dick Durbin says, I quit. It's the smart thing to do, to say, it's like this leave and then you can maybe come back later. It probably gets rid of the largest amount of illegal immigrants because they fear getting banned for life.
I don't know. Call me naive, but I just thought mass deportations meant interior removals.
Who does it?
Millions.
Who?
And that's not really
Who does it?
happening.
Who does it?
I think that's what all the ICE, you know, symbolics was with Dr. Phil, with Christy Nome, you know, going on those hunts in the city of Chicago and other big cities around the country. I think that's kind of what that was about.
Yeah, here's the reality. Mass physical removal is impossible.
You're talking millions of people. So yeah.
Why would it be promised then?
Because they didn't promise you that. You just think they did.
Well, yeah, that actually is true, because if you read between the lines or you listened between the lines, they were always saying, we're focusing on the criminals.
Indeed.
Even though they're all criminals, but the violent criminals.
They also did say, and are saying today, self-deportation will be the most effective means of removal.
And I mean, that may be true. Like, but they have to apply pressure to the people that are hiring illegals.
How do we even track
Lock 'em
those
up.
results?
Which ones?
The
Self-deportation.
self-deportations. It seems like something you can't even quantify by the end of this administration.
You know, I got to be honest, I think it might be impossible.
Yeah.
Especially, look, here's what we're looking at right now. The Trump administration's got, what, a year before squishy Republicans start crying because the children of illegal immigrants are demanding they defend illegal immigrants. And, I mean, you know, with all due respect, we've had members of Timcast call in and say, like, a family member's an illegal immigrant, they're getting deported, what do I do? And I say, you can go home. Like, you can bring your family home. This is what we've been talking about. You don't get to break our laws and take from the American people. It's just not a reality. But you got a year. At the same time, judges are issuing, rogue judges are issuing unconstitutional orders. You've got the media lying about due process. The new narrative that they're pushing is that Trump wants to strip trials away from illegal immigrants. This may shock you. Illegal immigrants never received trials. There is no trial due process for illegal immigrants. Never existed. And so they're lying because they're trying to stop Trump from being able to deport. A rogue judge will then enforce that. And then Trump deports what? Maybe a couple 100,000 before he's out of office?
Just for clarity, the narrative that they're pushing about due process, it's they're conflating illegals with people that are here looking for asylum. Asylees get a hearing about their asylum claims. Illegals just get sent out. But the Democrats are perfectly comfortable conflating those two things so that way the American public is confused.
Technically correct, but that's under Biden when he changed the rules. The actual rules, if you go to the immigration website, and as they've always been, is if you enter the country illegally outside of a port of entry, then you are subject to expedited removal. What Joe Biden changed was he said, no, not if they say asylum. They made that app where people would go and before they came, they'd fill out the app, illegally enter the country, and then say, no, I'm an asylum seeker. And then they'd get shuffled off to some registration center or something, and they'd say, okay, we'll give you a court date for your asylum. Then as soon as you left, they'd throw it in the garbage and say, never come back. So they were creating de facto permanent residence for these people. That's illegal. That's unconstitutional. That is criminal. Now, under the Trump administration, they're going back to expedited removal. That's why we're seeing the border locked down. It's going to be tough. Let me jump to this story right here. We have this from ABC News. This is from the other day. Trump says can't have a trial for all migrants he wants to deport.
Yep.
Such a thing is not possible to do, he posted on social media. They say amid a tense legal battle over deportations, Trump is now arguing undocumented migrants should not be given a trial where they could challenge being removed from the country. You know, they don't actually get that. Let me pull up the deportation.
It's okay that it's not possible because the American people don't want them to have a trial anyways. They just want them out. So
this is what the process is, okay? What happens when someone is detained by immigration? They say after a non-citizen is detained, they may go before a judge in immigration court during the deportation. Oh, wait, but there is a judge? Hold on. In some cases, a non-citizen is subject to expedited removal without being able to attend a hearing in immigration court. Expedited removal may happen when a citizen comes to the U.S. without proper travel documents, uses forged travel documents, does not comply with their visas. What does this mean? Everybody we saw under the Biden administration who entered with fake documents or with none were subject to expedited removal. But that was unprecedented that Biden was doing this. Immigration court hearings and rulings are for people who overstay their visa or violate the terms of their immigration. And then they get an order for removal and then they challenge it. But when you enter the country illegally, it was just expedited removal. They called Obama the deporter in chief because he was just loading them up and flying them out.
And lock them in cages too.
He built them all.
Yeah, and they blame Trump on that too. That was
yep.
pretty incredible stuff.
So it's all lies. And even last night, Ian fell for it. I'm sure the audience is saying, we're not surprised Ian fell for the lies. Mary's giving me a look right now where she almost can't believe it. But I don't mean this disrespectfully. Ian brought up, Trump said we can't have trials for illegal immigrants now, and I had to correct him. That narrative pushed by the press is fabricated. What Trump is actually saying is, let me give you the full context of what Trump is saying. Illegal immigrants, the people who come here and cross the border illegally, are subject to expedited removal and do not get hearings. We can't start to have trials for all these people now. There's too many. It makes no sense. You remove the other context, trick people into thinking they always did receive a trial and that Trump is trying to strip their rights from them.
Yeah.
Factual, but not truthful.
And the goal is to deceive the American people, which is not something new. It's something that the Democrats have been engaging in, regularly for the better part of the past 10 years, whether it be, the policies during COVID, the very fine people hoax, the Maryland man, whatever it is. There's been multiple attempts by the Democrats to totally deceive the American people, and I think generally, pardon me,
it works 99% of the time.
It has worked well, yeah, because most people aren't very politically engaged. But if you're even marginally politically engaged, I think that unless your personality is kind of geared towards being a Democrat, if you're actually willing to change your opinion based on what you see, I think that most people that do any kind of exploration of the truth, they see that the Democrats are full of crap.
Very teeny tiny fraction of the population.
It is a very teeny tiny fraction of the population of people that actually are into politics.
People just believe whatever is most emotionally resonant
100%.
to them.
100%.
But reeling it back, I might sound crazy for saying this, but I feel like not only would there be a popular demand for an immigration moratorium, but also just a moratorium on asylum claims. I know they're given court dates for asylum claims, but how about a moratorium on that?
I think that would actually be something the American people...
So many of them are BS anyway.
Well, hold on, Mary. I think...
They're all fabricating them.
I didn't realize you were a liberal going so soft on these people. I say, when they come in and claim asylum, we arrest them and criminally charge them and then send them to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
I'm not serious, by the way. I'm just trying to sound like I'm more aggressive than Mary's being.
Am I being aggressive?
No, I was kidding.
Okay.
I think a moratorium, I completely agree with the moratorium. I think we need to shut down all asylum claims until we can figure what the hell's going on.
Well, look, I think the American people agree with this. That's why the Democrats are at like a historic disapproval rating right now. They're trying to normalize these type of issues as if they're popular, and for that the American people are supporting them. They don't. That's why they lost this past election. That's why they're likely going to lose this midterm if things continue this way. And it's just, I mean, this is a complete nonsense.
Democrats' strongest man is David Hogg.
and he exemplifies the civil war that's going on in the Democrat Party right now. If you look
they're
at
threatening to kick him out.
They're probably going to. If you look
They
at
said they're going to kick him out.
Excommunicate him as a Democrat?
Excommunicado.
He's vice chair, so they're saying we were going to remove you.
Yeah.
Because he is actually
Such a plan. He's an actual crisis actor.
Yeah, he is. He's trying to primary Democrats, and the DNC official is not in the business of primarying Democrats. They're not in the business of picking and choosing which Democrat. They're in the business of making sure Democrats win. Now, primarying existing seats that are safe seats is a bad move for Democrats to do. David Hogg's doing that.
I disagree.
And Carville was all over him.
No, it's a good thing for them to do. David Hogg is correct, except he's wrong about literally everything else. Charlie Kirk is talking about primarying safe red seats to get rid of the rhinos in the party who are against the popular mandate. David Hogg has a similar idea. The only problem is his ideas aren't popular at all. He's on the back end of a 80-20 issue, arguing for getting rid of safe blue Democrats who are on the moderate side.
Yeah.
So this is the fascinating thing. David, imagine if there was a prominent rhino who hated Trump, and he was arguing we're going to primary safe Republicans. That's basically what David Hogg is doing. He's in favor of all of the worst issues. The ones, I got to be honest, I think David Hogg might be a Republican. I think one day he was at church. He was at church and he was wearing his Trump hat and his Trump shirt and watching a video of Trump on his phone. And then he said, someone needs to destroy the Democrats from within. And then, one of his buddies looked at him and said, but David, they'll hate you. And he says, they will, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And so then he joined the Democratic Party, and he's just ripping them to shreds from within and making them look like morons.
Good for him.
Good for him.
I feel like it's more likely he was just groomed from birth by the FBI or the CIA.
Well, his dad, I think, was FBI, right?
Yeah.
Was really?
Yeah,
that's true. I remembered the name of the girl from Parkland, Emma Gonzalez, who started going by X Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And they both just started careers in activism, and it went beyond gun control activism.
Yeah. His dad's a retired FBI agent.
That's crazy work. It's so in your face.
Well, I mean...
That's my personal opinion, okay? My personal
No, I get it, but I'm just saying you don't need a grand...
Something is not what it seems, though.
You don't need a grand conspiracy. His dad was an FBI agent, Democrat, and he takes after his dad, and it's not like... I don't view it as the FBI had a meeting 20 years ago and they said, you must have a child of prophecy to lead the deep states. They probably had a kid, and then he was like, here's what I think you should do, and his kid takes after him. Yeah.
Much to think about.
Indeed.
You should ask Alex Jones what he thinks about that.
I do think this is we'll throw this one in just a little bit. Post-Millennial says that Venezuela is likely weaponizing Tren de Aragua against us. So when Trump is talking about needing to get these people out as quickly as possible, he's not wrong. And the sentiment that's going around quite a bit is actually the math is simple. If you allow 20 million people in unvetted, but then you can't remove them without vetting, you've lost. It's over. Yeah. Goodbye. Because that means it's a one-way valve, and they're not going to stop coming in.
And I think people have misunderestimated that terrorist organizations are not simply in the Middle East and far off places in Southeast Asia, but they're actually in Latin America, and this is a terrorist organization that these people are members of that have infiltrated the United States.
Yeah, and I think it's important to stress this.
Yeah.
Trump is not arbitrarily declaring these narco gangs and prison gangs terrorists for no reason. He's not calling them terrorists just so he can try and deport them. These organizations, these gangs, are known for killing politicians. The definition of terrorist is when you use violence for political ends. When you get these Mexican mayors and governors, and people are like, Tim, those are cartels. Yo, read up on what MS-13 does down there. If you come out and you say, we're going to clean up the streets and get rid of crime and stop what they're doing, the next day you're dead. So if these people want to operate here, and they want to act in these ways, then they're terrorists. So
I wonder what kind of reaction the American people would have if there was actually even just one politician murdered, blatantly murdered by a gang, right? Because in Mexico they don't hide it; they'll cut a politician's head off and leave it on their car. What would the American people do if that happened in the United States?
At this rate, it's more a question of like, what will they do? Because it's like a matter of time.
Well,
our population is
I don't
shifting.
I don't know if it's actually a matter of time or not, but I do think if you saw something like that where it was clearly a gang, a foreign gang that had come to America and behaved like that, I do think the American people would react in a similar fashion to the way that they did after 9/11 and be like, all right, this is not happening here.
We've got to clarify in this story. We have a tweet from Kaneko the Great, who is confused and says, hold on a minute. Kilmar Abrego Garcia's court document from 2019 says, quote, DHS has not shown there are changed circumstances in Guatemala that would result in the respondent's life not being threatened, or that internal relocation is possible and reasonable under the circumstances. Therefore, the respondent's application for withholding under the Act is granted. Anybody knows what's wrong with that quote, with that paragraph, with that sentence?
No. What are you?
You haven't figured it out.
I'm not sure.
And I'm pausing not for dramatic suspense, but to point out that this document has been public since the Kilmar Abrego Garcia story started. I assumed everyone already knew this. Guatemala is the nation under the circumstances of withholding. I thought everybody knew that. And now I'm seeing a bunch of people say, wait a minute. The nation he wasn't supposed to go back to was Guatemala? He's in El Salvador. Yeah. Yes. I thought y'all knew that. I thought I don't know how this one slipped past people. Literally, we have the story from the AP. Who is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man ICE mistakenly deported to El Salvador prison? It's from April 18th. I can't remember which guest we had on. They mentioned a rival gang, I think it's called Barrios 18, was threatening his family in Guatemala, and so they fled. And they're from El Salvador. Yeah, so what is the argument? My assumption and understanding of this was that because the gang that operates in Guatemala and borders El Salvador was threatening his family, returning to El Salvador, he would still be unsafe from the threat in Guatemala. Now people are starting to realize, hey, wait a minute. The withholding order was for Guatemala, not El Salvador, so technically there is no administrative error at all, and there's no need for the AEA. He could have been deported back there in the first place. Now, the issue I have with that argument is, guys, there's no issue with the order of withholding at all because he's in prison. He's safe. It might be funny, but it's true. If the argument is, if you release him to the streets of El Salvador, a gang might kill him, well, we got good news. He's in prison. There's guards there. So there you go. I mean, what's the issue?
Well, kudos to the media for actually using his full name and not the Maryland Man. So,
right.
Because most people know this person by his photo and by Maryland Man. So now we actually kind of know his real name and really what he was all up to.
Do you think this was getting misreported intentionally?
Of course.
Well, what happens is later documents, the federal government said he had a withholding to El Salvador, despite the fact that the court document references only Guatemala.
Like, what is the incentive for them to lie? Or is it just incompetence in the situation?
There's questions about this. And again, the reason why I wanted to go into this story is because a lot of people are just now reading this court document. I would just like to say this as respectfully as I can. Guys, you got to read these things. Like I'm talking to you conservatives and the right. I made the mistake. It's my fault. I apologize for this in assuming that the conversations around this understood that Guatemala was the threat. When we had, I can't remember who the guest was, but they mentioned it was a rival gang that was threatening him. That's why they couldn't go back to El Salvador. The argument is, quite literally, for the withholding order, that if they go back to El Salvador, this gang, which operates in Guatemala, will come and get revenge or something. However, Nayib Bukele has cleaned up El Salvador and is now safe, and the threat of those gangs is minimal because they don't want to go there. They'll get thrown in CCOT.
Mm-hmm.
The only real issue, once again, with this case is that he needed a USCIS interview. That's it. One guy from immigration to go, your withholding is due to gangs in El Salvador. Or Guatemala, I see. Okay, if we send you to El Salvador, where the crime rate is now, it's one of the safest in the Western Hemisphere, you will not face these threats, withholding void. And then he's deported.
That's it.
End of story. Yeah.
He's also a gang member himself. And we don't want people with targets on their backs in this country if they're just luring the people who are after them to this country, and they're going to hurt other people too.
That's a good point.
And for the sake of argument, let's say that the protection order was pertaining to El Salvador. I don't care. Send him back there.
Prison.
No one is going to lose sleep over this man.
Yeah, I mean, send him anywhere. Send him to prison. Send him to Gitmo. Send him to. It doesn't matter to me where they send him. Send him out of America. Stop making him our problem. Like when Donald Trump says that, they're not sending their best. There are a lot of countries that when they heard that the borders were open, they actually do things like empty their prisons, empty their asylums, say, go, get out of here, and kick them out of their country. And then they wind up here. That is not a fabrication. That actually happens. So the idea that we must accept the criminals of other countries because our Democrats are too spineless to actually send people back, I do not accept that. We need to send all of these people home. We need to do everything we can to put a bunch of pressure on businesses that hire these people, and the police need to wrap up as many illegal immigrants as they possibly can and send them out.
Was mandatory E-Verify even mentioned in the 2024 Trump campaign?
I don't think so.
Because I remember from the 2016 run.
I think they're in favor of it, but there's a lot of libertarians who oppose it. I have an honest question in this regard for you guys. What is the issue with Real ID and collection of biometrics? As an honest question, it's not a gotcha. I'm genuinely curious what your thoughts are.
An issue that libertarians have with those?
No, you.
Oh.
Like, what do you think? Is it, let's just start here. So, Real ID, that basically means all IDs statewide are going to be in a national database. And biometrics, they're going to collect at various ports of entry, your fingerprints, retinal scans, photos, facial ID, whatever. What are your thoughts on doing that? Do you think it's good or bad?
But they already do that when you come in from the outside of the United States and when you're using your passport. I think a passport essentially is a real ID. So it's like you're carrying a passport on you. So if you have
chipped.
Yeah. So if you have a passport already, they already have your data.
But already doing it, I don't think is the argument, right? Libertarians are going to complain. They shouldn't be. So my question for you guys is, are you okay with the mass collection of biometrics? No?
No, that just feels like it has ulterior motives. Or maybe they'll discover ulterior motives down the line.
So the argument largely is, the reason they do it at the border is that if your biometrics are in the system and you come to the border and they scan it, be like, gotcha.
But these are basically this data they can use in mass surveillance, and they already do.
But
facial recognition.
Right. But my question is, why are you worried about mass surveillance?
I don't have a problem with it if they're doing it at the border, at ports of entry. I don't really have a problem with that. Like if you leave the country and they scan your face when you come back, even for American citizens, I don't really have that much of an issue with you or with it. I don't think that it should be done at the airport every time you get on an airplane.
But why not?
Because of things like privacy.
We deserve
issues.
Privacy.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You should.
Like okay, guys, let me try it again. You're literally just saying I don't want them to have it. I get it. I don't either. Well, I'm wondering what the negative thing from them having it is. Like, what do you guys think it is?
So I don't know that there is the ability now to monitor through facial recognition or anything like that. But you do currently have the option of not having electronics on you and going places and doing things and being private, right? So you leave your phone. Now, granted, most people don't make this decision. Most people opt to have the phone because the phone and technology.
You don't like if you go to a place that maybe you're going to an adult bookstore. You don't want some NSA guy to know you're doing it.
Fair enough. If that's an example, fine. But the point that I'm
like you're doing something embarrassing. You know what I mean?
Whether it be embarrassing or you just don't want people to track you, right? So hypothetical, right? You want to go and actually you can't. You can't. I'm not really sure that there are a whole lot of things that you can do anymore that where there isn't someone tracking.
I ask this because I've come across a lot of people who they'll say, hey, it's really bad that, like, Real ID is really bad. And I'm like, I agree. I can articulate, my thoughts on Real ID and mass surveillance and biometrics. But I'm genuinely curious if people, like, what is the view the average person has on why they don't want their facial recognition or whatever in a government database? It is like, do you think the government will do something to you by being able to know who you are?
Well, that kind of just sounds like the retort of, like, if you have nothing to hide, you don't need to worry about these encroachments on your freedom, No,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying...
It just kind of sounds like the argument. Like, oh, what could go wrong? Well, a lot of things could go wrong.
I'm not saying that either. I'm saying, what do you think?
Personally,
what do you think the government will do to you when they have your information and data?
Probably use it for medical scientific experimentation, maybe cloning,
maybe the whole
CRISPR technology.
Absolutely. We know that, what was that experiment they did in San Fran where they sprayed the whole city with bacteria? So if they're tracking your biometrics, if they scan everybody's eyes and load them into an AI, the AI could probably navigate cancer rates and a whole bunch of weird stuff and then use that to socially engineer.
Yeah.
The best argument I've ever heard against mass surveillance is that marijuana has become legal, right? Are you a fan of marijuana being legal, Mary?
No.
Well, so the reason why it became legal, despite the fact that it was illegal, is because the government couldn't stop people from doing it. They do it in secret. People then began to share it, bask in the glory they found, and then convinced more people to do it. Eventually, a critical mass of people were breaking the law and said, maybe this shouldn't be illegal, and then voted to get rid of it. But if you had a mass surveillance where anytime you tried to smoke, a knock on your door, you were on camera, the camera we put in all of your homes has proven you've broken the law, what ends up happening then is there is no flexibility in the law and in social order, meaning the only move you can make is towards more laws and more illegality until you can't do anything at all. So there's a lot of things that, marijuana is probably an extreme example because a lot of people want it to be illegal. But there's other examples, like if we had mass surveillance, women would still be wearing, fully flocked outfits with 17 layers. Because the moment a woman dresses down and tries going outside, the camera catches you and then the cops come and find you. So think about mass surveillance in like Iran. If a woman tries taking off hijab, they're going to know instantly and they're going to swarm her and they're going to arrest her before it can change. Mm-hmm. So typically mass surveillance is because you need flexibility. There are some things that people will do that is against the law, but they tolerate. And then with that tolerance, our society can adapt and change. But again,
maybe if it were used to stop people from smoking weed, then I'd just be all for it.
Yeah, well, there you go. Because the argument is this. If we have mass surveillance and biometrics, we can get rid of all the illegal immigrants.
But then it goes towards that whole social credit score stuff that's going on in China, which I think that's really what people are afraid of.
You're going to go to a grocery store, it's going to scan your eye and then say you're banned, whereas you could just pay cash and buy whatever you want.
It most definitely wouldn't, that technology would not be used to enforce the law against illegal immigrants. That just wouldn't happen. There's no will to use it for that purpose, therefore it's not going to happen.
Well, Trump wins. I mean,
it's going to be used to oppress the people who are born here for sure, and not to remove people who came in here illegally.
I do agree for the most part, but I do feel like this is the cynical American youth view. Like, yes, because the government has been against us for so long in our lives. They have given us nothing. They have lied to us. They have spit on us. They have started wars. The assumption of the younger generations is it's an evil machine that can only do wrong. But then you get Cash and Dan in the FBI. And I'm like, this is different. So the issue largely is libertarians, civil libertarians will say, don't empower the government because then the bad guys come in and they'll use those powers against you. And the good guys tend not to. However, I don't have a big problem with people I know and trust wielding power. If there's a very good person you know and they wield tremendous power, but they only act with honor and integrity, then we're not really concerned. The concern is when corrupt people come into office. And so what I think we have right now is the reason why we are cynical on all of these issues of data collection is because government is corrupt. Just is. Like the scenario where Cash and Dan become like the permanent FBI is zero. It's just zero. So for now, it may feel good. And this is the opportunity for the government to expand because, people in our position are going to say, I want the DHS to go after these illegal immigrants. So you know what? If it gets rid of 20 million illegal immigrants, I'm okay with the biometrics and all this stuff. The problem is, just because, I don't know, like Christine O might be a good person doesn't mean the next person coming in is going to be good.
It's the same
Get a
thing.
Mayorkas or something.
It's the same thing with FISA, right? They used the FISA warrants and the FISA surveillance to go after terrorists after 9/11. Then it was weaponized against the Trump campaign, which I was part of. I was spied on via FISA, which is designated for terrorists and these kind of insane, operations, and the president himself. So, like you said, if it's in the hands of the good people, it won't be weaponized. If it's in the hands of the bad people, it will be weaponized. So we can't really take that chance. And I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't just because we can't, the four of us sitting around the table can't think of a specific thing that would be used, our biometrics could be used to, used and corruptly used against us, doesn't mean that, there aren't 1,000 things that are possible that we can't come up with sitting right here on the spot,
No, the reason I ask is I'm wondering if you guys have really thought about it. I've had a lot of conversations recently, and I feel like most people haven't actually thought about it, but they do know that it's bad. And it's a good thing, because we want the popular viewpoint to be like, we shouldn't tolerate these things. I can think of a bunch of really bad things. Namely, like we mentioned, you go to a grocery store, and you're walking up, and they've got all your information stored, social credit system, and you can't buy food anymore. They ban you from food. They ban you from Ubers. Like, it's fascinating. Taxi cab. Normally what do you do? You hold your hand up, cab pulls over, you get in, you say, here's where I'm going, you hand him cash, clean. Didn't know who you are, we're good. Uber starts taking over, cabs are failing. Laura Loomer was banned from Uber.
In 400 yards, turn right.
Try launch control. Handbrake and floor it and release the handbrake.
Turn around when it is safe to do so. In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left. Turn around when it is safe to do so. turn around when it is safe to do so. In 100 yards, turn left. Turn left. In 400 yards, turn right. Turn right. Recalculating route. In 400 yards, turn right. In 400 yards, turn right. Turn right. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Recalculating route. Turn around when it is safe to do so. In 100 yards, turn left. In 400 yards, turn right. 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 In 400 yards, turn left. In 100 yards, turn left. Turn around when it is safe to do so. In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left. Recalculating route. Turn around when it is safe to do so. In 400 yards, turn right. Turn right. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Recalculating route. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Turn around when it is safe to do so. In 200 yards, turn left, turn left. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Recalculating route. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Recalculating route. In 200 yards, turn left. Calculating route. In 100 yards, turn sharp left. In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left. Recalculating route. Turn around when it is safe to do so. Turn around when it is safe to do so.
job.
In 400 yards, turn right. Turn right. Recalculating route.
Gonna jump off road
200
high.
yards, turn left.